Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today you're meeting a woman who aims to rid India of its title of being the world's diabetes capital. She is Dr. Nandita Shah, the founder of Sharan, a non-profit organization that is healing people through food and educating India on better nutrition. Dr. Nandita Shah is a homeopath and a vegan who runs workshops and educational programs across the country on better nutrition. Her focus is healing through food, and her non-profit is called Sharan, or Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. Thanks to location partner Infinity. Dr. Shah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When you think of the kind of foods that we eat in India today, what would you say are the three biggest myths, that we've all, subscribed to?
Well, I would say the first is the milk myth. And that's because, we say Krishna ke zamane mein bhi doodh peete the. People were drinking milk even in Krishna's time. And so we think that milk is the best food for us. I grew up like that. The second is animal products. Like, Indian food is actually very healthy. But we're changing a lot. And in the past, even those who were non-vegetarian would have non-veg on Sundays. But now it's every day. And we are not actually supposed to eat animal products, like if you look at our body or our anatomy, but mainly our instincts. For example, if you walk through a farm or an orchard, you feel like picking fruits and vegetables and eating them. But if you see a chicken walk by, your mouth doesn't water. But if you were a dog, it would be the opposite, that you'd walk through a farm or an orchard and nothing would happen to you, but the chicken would be attractive. Now, we are attracted to chicken now just because we've been conditioned. So if you smell the barbecue, it's because of the conditioning. But instinctively, we are not. And the instinct tells us what's good for us. Okay. And the third one, I would say, is the processed and refined foods. Like we think that we should do everything the West does. And so we eat a lot of foods that have a long shelf life, but that decreases our shelf life. So, if we were to eat foods that are natural, suitable to our species, we could be really healthy.
And what are the impacts that you've seen as a doctor, as a person who's been trying to treat people of a variety of illnesses because of these myths that we've subscribed to?
We're seeing a huge increase in various lifestyle diseases today. For example, when I became a doctor, only 5% of the adult population had diabetes. Today it's 35 or 40%. And we're seeing diseases that weren't even in our medical textbooks when I became a doctor. For example, metabolic syndrome, which is a combination of polycystic ovarian disease, hypothyroidism, which is another very common disease, but it wasn't so common before, and diabetes. And it can also be combined with obesity. We are seeing these combinations of diseases in more and more people and in younger and younger people that we never saw before.
And have you noticed a direct relationship between, the kind of foods that we eat and the diseases that we're succumbing to?
Actually, I'm helping people reverse diseases through food rather than medicine. So I actually help them get off medicines and get well just by understanding what is the correct food for our species and then switching to that food. So to make them understand is very simple, but how to change is a big job because change is always difficult.
Yes. So tell me, how are you helping people change their food habits? And in helping them cure themselves or manage diseases better. I know you've been running workshops and educating people for a while now through Sharan. Also tell me, what is the response you're seeing from the people who go through your training and workshop?
So there are two kinds of responses. Some people say, oh, it's too difficult, I can't do it. But when people were really sick, when doctors had given up hope, one foot in the grave, they would listen, they would change, and they would get well. And the results were so stunning because, it was mind-blowing when people got well from things that nobody expected them to get well from.
Can you give me an example?
I had a 70-year-old woman who had 3 years of heart disease, and when she met me, she had just come out of 3 weeks in ICU with a prescription 1 page long. And the reason she came to me was because she didn't want to take all those medications. She had never taken so many medications in her life. And because I was a homeopath, she thought that I would give her homeopathic medicines instead. But because I was traveling, I couldn't take on that case, and because she insisted, I taught her everything about diet. And the thing is, she followed it to the letter. When I came back after 2.5 months, because I had promised her I would treat her then, and I asked her to follow up with a cardiologist till then. When I came back after 2.5 months, she was on just 1/4 of one medicine, but a woman of 70 who couldn't get out of bed for 3 years, was going for walks at 4 in the morning, and was going to the gym for half an hour in the evening, and that was in 2005. Today she's running around Pondicherry in shorts.
Tell me about some of the things that you suggest to your patients or to individuals who come through your workshops.
Well, I always ask them to be on a whole plant-based diet, and many of them don't really know what whole and plant-based means. So whole means anything that is whole in nature the way a monkey would eat it. That means a monkey doesn't have any machinery, a monkey doesn't have any tools. And so whole means no oil, no sugar, no white flour or no white rice. I help them plan a menu. What would they eat in every meal, because sometimes they have no idea. Plant-based means nothing that comes from an animal. For example, no milk, but that also means no cheese, butter, curds, paneer, ice cream, buttermilk, or anything that's made from milk. So it means looking at ingredients, but it also means not even buying things that have ingredients written on them, like not buying things from packages, just eating whole, fresh foods. And so I also help them learn through cooking classes, because sometimes they have no idea of how to cook really nice food without oil. We make anything without oil, even bhajiyas and things which are traditionally fried can be made without oil.
Just going back and referring to the very first myth again, we consume milk in a variety of different ways, as you mentioned. And pretty much every single day. I wouldn't be surprised if, at least 60% of the kind of foods that we eat contain, milk in one way or another. So that, I think, would be the biggest myth to break and counter, right? What is a substitute to milk?
So that's one of the things that I teach them, how to substitute every single thing, how to substitute milk in chai, or how to substitute milk in the form of butter, cheese, paneer. Even I teach them how to make ice cream without any milk.
Wow. Okay.
So there are all kinds of recipes, and you know what? They're really so simple, but it just takes that mind shift.
Okay, let's focus on chai. I mean, today we're having a fruit infusion, but if I were to make chai without milk, how would I make it?
Well, you can use a variety of milks. If you don't want to make your own, you can just use soy milk.
Okay.
But it's really simple to make almond milk on your own. You just soak almonds overnight and then put them in a blender and strain it, and you've got almond milk. So you can have almond milk, cashew milk, rice milk, oat milk, all kinds of milks,
Okay. You've been working on helping people choose better diets and heal through food. And you've pretty much dedicated your career to this, right? What's this work meant to you?
Well, personally, many things, because I believe that it's holistic. I became a homeopath because it's holistic, and this is just one step further in my path. I also suffered from a very severe illness in 1997. I got Guillain-Barré syndrome, which was a complete body paralysis. And it made me look at everything much deeper. Like, if you want to get rid of a problem, what do we have to do? We have to find the cause and remove it. And the cause of any problem is not the absence of medicine. So once we realize what the cause is, today we see people who have diabetes. They take medicines, they cut down their carbohydrates and sugars, they never get well. because they haven't attacked the cause. So when I got this illness, I started looking at what is the cause and started making a lot of changes. The other thing that really touched me is the fact that we have moved so far away from nature. We're so disconnected, so we don't really know. So my work is also helping people reconnect to nature and animals, because animals know what they need to eat and animals know how they need to live, but we don't, just because we are controlled by a market that wants to sell things, you know. So once we help people make that connection, then that's why Sharan is called Reconnection, Sanctuary for Health and Reconnection to Animals and Nature. Once we help people make that connection, it just flows. You don't have to do anything to get there, you know. It happens by itself.
What would you say is your goal with all this work then?
Sharan's vision is a diabetes-free India. Today, India has the largest number of diabetics of any country in the world. And we were second largest, but we just shot up to largest. So, I believe that this can be reversed just because every person who reverses their diabetes will want to tell another 20 people how to do it. And so, this snowballing effect will get us there.
So the greater impact could happen then.
Yes.
Fantastic having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Lakshmi.
Join our mailing list at chaiwithlakshmi.in/subscribe and keep in touch with us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Pinterest.